Well, getting a boost from the cloud, business software provider SAP raising its earnings guidance after a 40% increase in new cloud bookings during the fourth quarter. Joining me right now over the phone from Germany is SAP CEO Bill McDermott. Bill, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you very much, Maria. Appreciate you having me.
We want to talk about trade. We're having this discussion about TPP this morning, Bill. So I definitely want to get your take on yesterday's move where President Trump pulled the U.S. out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. But let me ask you first to characterize the quarter for us, because I know cloud subscriptions were real critical this last quarter.
Yeah, as we look back on our strategy, we fundamentally reinvented the database industry with SAP HANA, and that's basically become the de facto in-memory platform for enterprises to manage data, big data. You connect that to a modern ERP system, and you extend that to clouds, whether it's a cloud to run HR or finance or sales or even your whole company, and also to collaborate on an inter-enterprise level with your trading partners across the world. We have it all, and I think that story is so complete, that vision is so complete, lots of people are buying it.
What are you expecting from the year ahead, Bill, when you consider new policies coming in, as well as the overall demand picture that you're looking at today?
Well, we have never had a more robust pipeline than we have right now. And if you look at the mature markets around the world, Europe and the United States in particular, they're more robust than they've ever been. But we're also growing very fast in Asia, particularly India and China, and of course South America as well. So we're really in great shape. And I constantly remind people to relax a little bit. We do have a change in administration. It is new, and there are going to be different kinds of formations, different kinds of deals, but deals will be done, commerce will take place, and the global economy will grow.
Here's Robert Wolf.
Hey, Bill, good to hear from you. Congrats on a great quarter. And year-end. I found your quote fascinating where you said the geopolitical issues play right into our strength. You don't hear that too often from CEOs, so I would love you to just discuss that and your views on what we could expect in 2017.
Of course, Robert. So if you look at Brexit, just to give you a very specific example, since Brexit was announced, our sales in the UK went way up. And that's because companies on the commercial side or even public sector entities, when processes or governance rules change, you have to change the software to accommodate the new process. And SAP is always at the forefront of setting that tone, that strategy. So, for example, anytime there's going to be new trading arrangements between partners in different parts of the world, you have to enable these new processes with managing the big data, connecting the supply chain, and ultimately executing and managing and measuring what you're doing. All of that is what SAP software does.
So you don't think the Brexit impact with the pound getting kind of going down significantly, you don't think that was the impact on sales? You just think it was kind of taking advantage of the new systems that needed to come into play?
Yeah, because we measure our success in constant currency. Okay. So if we were getting a currency benefit, we zero that out and just look at it in constant currency. So yeah, I also think, Maria's earlier question, you're growing so fast in the cloud, and we're growing so much faster than all the big companies in the cloud. And we do it with real software. We're not talking concrete and hardware here. This is the software that runs businesses. The reason that we're growing so fast is because there's real value in business application software. And so if there is a downturn in buying, as an example, companies are not going to buy hardware, and they're probably going to cut back on the number of services that they consume. But believe me, they'll double down on software because they're going to have to do a lot more with less by automating processes, and that's frankly what we do.
That's terrific. Dagan.
Bill McDermott, it's Dagan McDowell. President Trump yesterday, of course, with an executive order, formally withdrew from the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Does that help or hurt the U.S.?
Well, I think it was largely expected, and I don't think there's anything new about that. The president ran on that in his campaign. So I think it's, let's see. And then what is going to be done instead? I'm actually, pretty confident that the administration will be pro-trade and pro-deals because it seems to be pro-growth. Let's lower taxes. Let's invest in infrastructure. Let's drive jobs. Let's drive manufacturing. So yeah, on the manufacturing side, that could have one implication. But one of the things that's always forgotten is a lot of these global companies are huge in the United States, and they hire lots of people in the United States. So if, for example, there's some nuance to the trade policy, they're going to move plants into the United States, they're going to hire lots of people. And similarly, if they're exporting, you got to hire lots of people to make products and export those products. So I'm actually pretty bullish that things are going to work out.
What about the China element? That's what we've been debating this morning, basically saying if we're pulling out of TPP, we're basically allowing China to do the business with other South Asian nations, basically locking the U.S. out. Do you think that there's merit in that thinking?
Well, again, it's so early. We're just a few days into the new administration, but China is a serious player on the global stage, and having participated in the World Economic Forum last week, it was pretty interesting that China played a significant role in that forum. They clearly want to be a leader along with the United States and others in the global market, and I think at some point soon, we need to sit down and figure out what the right deal is. If TPP isn't the deal, what is the deal? So we don't lose any ground in the global economy, and the global economy continues to prosper.
So there you have it. I mean, that's one of the things that Trump keeps bringing up, the fact that China doesn't play fair, and he doesn't want to be in this particular deal where China is not involved, and he wants to do bilaterals with some of these other nations. Before you go, Bill, real quick, you said that you're seeing real pickup in terms of cloud. What sectors are leading that for you?
Well, it's so evenly balanced, Maria. I mean, anything from retail, you see bricks and mortar completely disappearing in retail. This idea of having a single view of your consumer. Your consumer is social, you have the mobile, they shop online, they go to retail. You have to completely rethink that relationship from supply to demand in retail. So that would be a big one. Banking, everything in banking now, financial services is mobile. And how can you appeal to that mobile consumer? One of my favorites is healthcare, because I think we need to totally change the healthcare industry. And more you're seeing HANA with our in-memory capability do amazing things like human genome sequencing to cure cancer and other things. So all these industries are ripe because digital transformation is everywhere.
Wow. Bill, a great story to tell. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks a lot, Maria. Great talking to you and your colleagues. All the very best.